Alex.
I have to confess, I am pretty nervous.
Alex, you have such pride to the Philippines, and not only because of your success, also because the grace which you handle that success.
Alex Eala met fans at Nike Fort in Taguig before heading to the presidential palace. The schedule was packed, the emotions were high, and everything was moving incredibly fast. On July 13th, 2026, two completely different events became part of the same unforgettable day. The first stop was a special Nike fan event in Bonifacio Global City. Outside the Nike store, a long line of excited supporters stretched across the entrance. Fans had gathered for something called Play Mind Games with Alex Eala, a conversation centered on handling pressure, preparing for competition, and the countless hours of hard work professional athletes put in when no cameras are watching. As the doors prepared to open, the excitement became almost impossible to contain. A young woman near the front of the line gripped her phone tightly with both hands, trying to stay calm. Behind her, another fan voiced what so many others were already feeling. "I'm so nervous." Those simple words captured the atmosphere perfectly. Everyone knew they were about to meet the athlete who had become one of the Philippines' brightest sporting stars. For many, this was more than just a fan event. It was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to meet Alex in person. Now picture the second room. Same Monday, but a setting that couldn't have felt more different. Inside the ceremonial hall of Malacañang Palace, the president of the Philippines sat at the head of the room. Walking through the doors was 21-year-old Alex Eala, who had just reached a career-high world ranking of number 28 in the WTA rankings released earlier that same day. Despite all her recent success, Alex admitted she was feeling exactly what many of her fans had felt just hours earlier. In her own words, she was pretty nervous. It was a remarkable contrast. Earlier that day, fans had nervously waited to meet their tennis hero at a Nike event. Now, inside the nation's highest seat of government, that same tennis star was feeling those very same nerves as she prepared to address the country's leaders. Two different rooms, one unforgettable Monday, and on both sides of the microphone, the same feeling. Nervous excitement. To understand why the Philippines celebrated Alex Eala with two special receptions in a single day, you have to rewind just 9 days. On July 4th, 2026, under the lights of Center Court at Wimbledon, the 29th seed produced the biggest win of her career. Facing defending champion IGA Swiatek in only her third Wimbledon main draw appearance, Alex stunned the tennis world with a 7-6, 6-2 victory. The historic win made her the first Filipino singles player in the Open era to reach the round of 16 at a Grand Slam. Her inspiring Wimbledon run eventually ended in the fourth round, with a hard-fought 3-set defeat to Jasmine Paolini. But by the time she boarded her flight home, she had already achieved something bigger than a deep tournament run. She had captured the imagination of an entire nation. The homecoming that followed was far more than a typical media tour. It felt like an entire country deciding, within the span of a single week, that this was a moment worth celebrating and remembering. Everywhere Alex went, the welcome was genuine, and it reflected just how much her Wimbledon run had meant to millions of Filipinos. The real tension in this story was never between Alex and another player. There was no villain in Manila that Monday. Instead, the tension existed quietly within Alex herself. On one side was the private athlete, the young woman who spends countless hours training when no cameras are around, the competitor who worked relentlessly, climbing from around world number 140 at the start of 2025 to inside the world's top 30 by the summer of 2026. Every improvement came through countless practice sessions, long flights, difficult matches, recovery treatments, and thousands of points earned one at a time. On the other side was the public figure Alex had become, no longer viewed simply as a talented tennis player, but as a national symbol, someone an entire country looked to with admiration, pride, and hope. That message came through clearly during the ceremony at Malacañang. According to the Presidential Communications Office, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. chose to open his remarks not with tennis rankings or trophies, but with her character. He reportedly began by telling her that whenever he hosts these kinds of programs, he always says it's his pleasure to receive the guest, and that tonight, saying that wasn't just politeness, he really was genuinely glad to have her there. Later in his remarks, he reportedly added something to the effect of, "You have brought such pride to the Philippines and to the Filipino people, not only because of your success, but because of the grace, with which you have handled that success. You show the very best qualities of Filipinos. It's worth noticing what the president chose to emphasize. Not the win over Swiatek, not the ranking or the statistics behind her Wimbledon run. He praised the way she carried herself through success, with humility, composure, and grace. That's what revealed what this celebration was really about. The country wasn't honoring a single tennis result. It was honoring the person behind it. Then came the moment the whole day had been building toward. The room went quiet as Alex rose to speak. Instead of a polished, confident speech, she opened with an honest admission that made the moment feel immediately more genuine, saying something like, "I have to confess, I don't normally get very nervous when I have to talk, but today is the exception. I am pretty nervous." It was a remarkably human moment. The same athlete who had stood fearlessly on center court against the best players in the world admitted that addressing her own country's leaders made her more nervous than stepping onto a tennis court. That honesty captured who Alex Eala has become. Even after international success and recognition from the highest office in the Philippines, she stayed grounded, humble, and completely authentic, qualities that have made millions of Filipinos admire her as much for her character as for her results. Think about what that moment really meant. Just 9 days earlier, Alex had walked onto center court at Wimbledon and beaten a 6-time Grand Slam champion in front of a worldwide audience, showing remarkable composure under one of the brightest spotlights in sports, with no visible sign of fear. Yet standing inside Malacañang Palace, in front of the President of the Philippines, she admitted she was nervous. In that moment, it became clear that addressing her own nation carried a different kind of weight, one even center court couldn't match. Then came the words the Philippine news agency highlighted as the emotional heart of the evening. Alex reportedly said something like, "I feel very seen hearing that come from you. I feel like all the hard work that I've done is seen. All the hours that aren't on TV are seen and validated and appreciated." Those words resonated far beyond tennis. Every professional athlete spends countless hours training away from the spotlight. Early mornings, exhausting sessions, long days in the gym, rehab after injuries, sacrifices that never make it onto television. Fans usually see only the final result, not the years of work behind it. For Alex, hearing her country's highest leader recognize those unseen sacrifices made the honor deeply personal. It wasn't just an acknowledgement of her Wimbledon performance. It was recognition of every invisible hour that got her there. Inside the ceremonial hall that evening, Alex's message didn't end in English. She reportedly repeated it in Tagalog, making it even more personal for the room, telling the audience something like, "This is our victory, ours together, all of us." Then she added another promise. "I take great pride in being Filipino. I carry the Philippine flag with me wherever I go, and I promise that I will continue to represent the Philippines in the best way that I possibly can." Those words turned the evening from an official ceremony into something closer to a lasting national memory, no longer just about recognizing a successful athlete, but about celebrating a young woman who had embraced the responsibility of representing her country with pride and gratitude. To understand why the Philippine government moved so quickly to honor Alex, you have to look at what happened on the international stage first. It wasn't Manila that first convinced the world Alex had arrived among tennis's elite. It was center court at Wimbledon. After her win over defending champion Swiatek, major international outlets quickly recognized the size of the achievement. ESPN covered the upset prominently, Sky Sports described the result as a huge shock, and The Athletic, published by the New York Times, made her breakthrough one of the leading stories of the tournament, writing that her performance had pushed her into the wider consciousness of the tennis world. By the time Alex returned home, the world had already taken notice. The Manila celebrations weren't creating her story. They were recognizing one that had already captured international attention. Those weren't Philippine outlets making that call. They were some of the most influential sports media organizations in the world, the kind that help decide which athletes become global stories. When multiple international outlets reached the same conclusion over the same weekend, Alex Eala's breakthrough stopped being just another tournament upset. It became one of the defining stories of Wimbledon. That's the part of the journey most fans never see. The homecoming reception at Malacañang on July 13th was possible because what happened on center court on July 4th was impossible to ignore. President Marcos wasn't creating Alex Eala's story. He was recognizing and honoring a moment the international tennis world had already acknowledged on its own. Now step back and look at the bigger picture, because July 13th was about more than either event on its own. The Philippines has celebrated its sporting heroes before. Figures like Manny Pacquiao and Olympic gold medalist Hidilyn Diaz have both received official recognition for historic achievements. Moments like these are part of the country's tradition of honoring athletes who inspire the nation. What made July 13th, 2026 different was how quickly everything unfolded. In the morning, Alex met hundreds of supporters at a Nike fan event in Bonifacio, Global City. That evening, she attended an official state reception and received a presidential citation at Malacañang Palace. The celebrations weren't over yet. Another major public fan event had already been scheduled for July 15th at the Glorieta Activity Center, giving even more Filipinos the chance to celebrate her historic Wimbledon run. The speed of it all reflected something extraordinary. In the space of just a few days, Alex Eala had gone from making history on center court to becoming the focus of a nationwide celebration. Tennis unfiltered.